Hello, hello, Kristen Baker here. Today I want to talk to you about overcoming the objection, it's too expensive. All right, so the first thing is if people are telling you that it's too expensive or they think that it's too expensive for them, you want to ask them, is it that you don't value this result or you don't think this is going to work for you? Okay, so number one, you absolutely have to be talking to them about the result that they want. So if you're selling the plane and not the destination, that's your first step. You got to go back to what is the result that they want. And so if they're saying it's too expensive, you have to ask them, is the result not worth it to you? Or do you think it won't work for you? And again, this has to be without judgment, okay? It's not your job to, they said they want to lose 10 pounds and your prices are $5,000. Well, is it worth $5,000 to them to lose 10 pounds? Or do they think it's not going to work for them, right? It's not your job to judge that. It's not your job to say you should want to lose 10 pounds even though it's $5,000 and it is $5,000 and it should be worth $5,000 to you, right? Okay, so that's number one. Number two, it's also about the mindset of knowing that they can't get the quality of what you offer for less. So it is about knowing your competition in some sense, but you have to kind of expand your definition of competition. So if you're a chiropractor who helps people with back pain, what are their alternatives? Well, they could go use an Advil for a fraction of the price. Or they could use an acupuncturist who might be more expensive or less expensive depending on the acupuncturist. They might use a different chiropractor who might be more or less expensive. So you have to understand first, what are their alternatives? What are their perceived alternatives? And they may or may not have context for what it is that you do. And number three, it is your job to educate them on the context. It's your job to educate them on their choices. So this is what I call the power of or. So instead of discounting your rates, instead of instead of judging them and saying they should be doing this, your role now is just giving them choices. You just say you can have this or you can have this. When I was in commercial real estate and I was closing people into office deals, these are $1 million contracts, people would come to me and they'd say, Kristen, I really want you to drop the rate by $10 a square foot, or I really want a parking space in the front of the building. And so what I got really good at doing was, instead of saying no, I would say, okay, I understand what you're saying. So here are your choices. If you want $10 less a square foot, we can, cut back on your tenant improvement allowance, or you can keep your tenant improvement allowance and we can keep the rate where it is. Now, they could also be talking about competition. So sometimes you're talking about the context of power of or within your own choices, right? So you could have an upsell, you could have a downsell. If people, want to work with you one-on-one versus working in a group program, you can say, here are your choices, but these are the consequences, right? Both for the experience and the end result. So you may have this amazing group program, but you know that if they do the one-on-one, they're going to fast track their results. It's going to happen faster for them. It's going to be deeper for them. It's going to be more customized. And so you want to be able to articulate those different choices within your own programs, but you also want to be able to articulate those choices outside your program. So if someone was to say to me in commercial real estate, hey, I want this for $10 less a square foot, my job was to know the competition well enough to say, okay, I totally understand. And here's the consequence of you paying $10 less a square foot. You're not going to get a deli. You're not going to get a front door parking space. You're not going to get signage in the bottom of the building. Those are the cons for other buildings, right? Like, you're going to get a lower quality building. You're not going to have security. You're not going to have a front desk, right? Whatever those consequences are, it was my job to be able to articulate them. And so it's my job to say and to know, and you have to know this, and this is a mindset, that they cannot get the results that you're offering for less than what you are charging, okay? So if you believe that they can get the exact same result by going and getting a book for $12, of course you're not gonna be able to sell a $5,000 package, right? And if you think that there are other people out there who can deliver the exact same result as you for $1,000, it's gonna be hard for you to charge $5,000. But if you believe that what you bring is unique and different, it doesn't have to be better, it just has to be unique and different. And they have to just, want to work with you and the way you do things. But if you don't believe that, if you think that they can get what you're offering for less, there's no way. Of course they're going to tell you it's too expensive. You believe it's too expensive. You believe it's not worth the sacrifice to them. But if you clearly understand, and I want to challenge you here, because my experience is that people kind of minimize what they bring. And so if you're like thinking, oh my God, you're right, they could just they could just do what I'm offering out of a book. I want to challenge you. They should not be able to do what you're offering out of a book. And if they are, you're either minimizing what you do, which is most likely the case, or you're not bringing enough to the table, which is less likely the case, okay? Maybe you need more training or whatever, but probably not. It's probably that you're minimizing what you bring to the table. That's my experience anyway with my clients. So that's step number 3, is that you just have to articulate to them the consequences. Now, what I do too when people say, I think I'm going to try this first. I think I'm going to try this other option first because you're too expensive or whatever. The thing that I end with, again, this is not about convincing them. It is about letting them make choices and educating them on those choices, right? So even in commercial real estate, if people wanted to pay $10 less because they didn't really care about a deli, okay, fine. I know that I'm going to be able to find somebody who values a deli, right? So you have to know that you're going to find somebody who values a deli without judging them for not valuing the deli of whatever it is that you're bringing, okay? But you have to show all those differences. So anyway, so what I was saying was that if they decide they want to go with the building with no deli or whatever, or they decide, to go with one of your competitors, they decide to do a book instead of working with you, whatever that is, what you want to say is, and this is what I say, is like, okay, that's fine, and here's what I want you to look out for. So if these things come up for you, and if these roadblocks come up for you and you're not getting the support that you need to overcome them, I specialize in helping people with this, okay? And so you just have to know what are those things. Like if you're a chiropractor, you do back pain and they're getting all these side effects from Advil and they're like, no, I really want to try Advil first. It's like, okay, fine. Now what I want you to know is that if you start noticing that you're nauseous, or I'm making things up, I'm not a chiropractor, not a doctor. You start noticing that you're nauseous consistently and you don't want to feel nauseous anymore. I want you to come back to me then, right? So you're just giving them choices. You're just doing the power of or, but you have to believe and know that what you offer has more benefit than the sacrifice, and it has more benefit than the options that you know of. Now, you're not going to know all of them, right? That's unrealistic, okay? But you do need to do some research, and then the options that you know of to help them solve their problem. You have to be able to know and articulate how, if you're higher priced, why they should, what the consequences are to not working with you, what the consequences are to going with an alternative, what the or is, what are their choices. They can have this or they can have this. They don't get to have both, right? I had a guy email me and he was like, I really want some help with this specific thing. And I was like, he was like, what do you do if you don't have any money for it? And I was like, I hear ya. And for the result that you're looking for, you're going to pay anywhere between $5,000 to $20,000 or $30,000 a year to help you get that result. And it doesn't matter if it's with me or somebody else, you're going to have to find the resources for it. All right, so let's recap. So the first thing that you're going to do when people tell you that they think it's too expensive is that you're going to ask them, is this result not worth it to you? Is it not worth this price to you? Or do you think it's not going to work for you? Number 2, you want to know as much as you can. You don't need to get paralyzed by this, but you want to know as much as you can what they think their alternatives are, and you want to know the consequences to using those alternatives. And then number 3 is the power of or. You're going to give them choices based on that knowledge that you have of those choices, and what the consequences are, without judgment, without judging them, okay? So that's how you're going to overcome the objection. Now, if you feel like you are still getting this objection a lot, it is a mirror of your own doubt and your own fear that maybe what you're offering is not really worth that much. It's not worth that price that you're putting out there. And so you have to work with your own mindset around that. All right, so that is my tip for the day. Make sure you follow me on Facebook, Instagram, all the great social media sites, and sign up for my newsletter at convertidealclients.com for more videos like this. Take care. Bye-bye.